everyone, and welcome to Club 3, Episode 11 of Rolling in the Isles, an FM20 British Isles Journeyman series with me, the United City FM. Welcome along. So, things so far this season, the new season with Derby County, have been going really very, very well. You can see in terms of our schedule, up until the most recent game that I played against Southampton, we were unbeaten and we were winning every game quite well. There was a couple of real high quality games in there, a couple of goal fests, specifically against Blackburn 5-3, where I think we were 3-1 down or something at one point in that game, but it was a good comeback anyway. But then we played Southampton away from home, and they proved to be rather harder than the rest of the teams that we'd played so far, and they beat us 2-0. But it still leaves us in a very, very good position so early in the season, sitting third in the division after 5 games on 12 points. And we've looked very good doing it. There's lots of positives in terms of the players that are involved. We see we've got 9 people that have all had an assist this season so far. Roberto has definitely been the star of the show, both in terms of creativity and also in goal scoring, which has been brilliant. Finances are decent. We've got to sort a little bit of the wage structure out, a slight amount, but not too much. But there have been a couple of transfer dealings since the last time you and I were together. Now, one of them was a bit of an error on my part, and the other one was a design. It was my design to get that happening. So the first one, which was a mistake slightly, was Benningham. And Brentford came in at 5.25 million, and it met a clause in his contract that meant because Brentford had been promoted from the Championship to the Premier League, they were in the higher division, and they took a clause in the contract that said he could move for 5.25 million to a higher division team. I'd forgotten that contract clause was in there, if I was totally honest. Up until that point, nobody had shown an interest in him, so I hadn't really been that bothered. And all of a sudden, towards the very end of the transfer window, they came in, made a bid, it was accepted, and he went quite quickly. So in the end, we had to do something about that. And the player that we bought in to replace him, not directly, Joku, who we've already met, Henrique Joku, will play as our number 1 defensive midfielder. But this guy is now our backup to that, Adam May. And we bought him in from Portsmouth for 8.5 million. It was a fairly hefty fee, but he was definitely the best player around I could find for this sort of level of football, and so I thought it was worth bringing in some really good reinforcements if I could. So we brought in Adam May. As I say, he's going to sit behind the pecking order behind Joku. If we look at Joku, you can see that he's playing quite well for us so far this season, which is really positive. So those two are going to fight for that holding midfield role. And so that's a positive. The other one that we had to in the end do, we did get rid of Lloyd Kelly. We spoke about it last episode, saying that he was unhappy, and to be honest, I didn't ever think that he had the most amazing attributes. I thought he was decent without being brilliant in much, really. So in the end, his unhappiness and his discontent made me decide to sell him. So we sold him for 6.5 million, which I think is a decent fee. So between the two sales, we made 12 million-ish. You know, that's a decent amount to bring in. And we then went and bought this guy, Matthew Targett, and we bought him in from Reading. No, that's not true. We bought him in from Southampton, I think. Let's have a look. Where did we get him from in the end? Oh, it was Burnley. So he'd moved from Southampton to Burnley. He'd gone on loan a couple of different clubs. But in the end, we bought him from Burnley. You can see a couple of seasons ago, they bought him for £16.5 million in the Premier League. And we've just picked him up for £3.5 million. So all in all, between the two sales and the two purchases, you can see that we spent roughly the same amount of money. So overall, we still have made about 10 million in the transfer market over this summer period, which is really very good for a club the size that we are. So I was more than happy to do all of those dealings in the end, one forced on me and one that I decided to do myself. But that completed the picture for Derby County for the summer transfer window. So the setup is now going to stay through till Christmas. I'm very happy with the balance of the squad. We've got some good youngsters in there. There's a bit of experience in there, but quite a good balance through the side. And most players have had a game already. McNair obviously is out for 6 months, which is a problem. The only one that hasn't really played so far is Jason Knight, but he'll get a chance at some point. But everybody else has played at least one match for us so far this season. which has been very positive. In terms of the matches played, you can see that Blackpool, we played them in the League Cup first round and won comfortably, so we're through there, but we have to play Everton in the next round, Premier League opposition, so that was unfortunate that we got them so early on, but we'll give them a good game, I would hope. That's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so today we play Preston North End in the Championship, and we go and have a look at the Championship as it stands at the moment. And you can see that Preston are currently sitting in 19th, quite, a bit below us, and we're sitting top of those playoff places at the moment. Now, if we end in the playoffs, I will be absolutely delighted by this season. I think that was a really good step forward. I think the second half of last season definitely demonstrated we could do it, though. The form from the second half of last season definitely would have put us in the playoffs if we'd have started that way, I would imagine. So all in all, it's looking very, very positive. I'm really happy with how it's going. Today, though, as I say, is about Preston North End. They're going to be tricky because every team in this division is going to be tricky, but we're on a good run of form, so I expect big things from them. And we're also at home, which helps us. So the team for today, with the two out being the goalkeeper who's still got a little bit of a fitness issue and Paddy McNair, who's going to be out long term, everybody else is fit and healthy. So the team that I'm putting out is Bazunu in goal, Colin at right back, Target at left back, Harwood, Bellis and Story in central defence, with Joku, Roberto and Sibley in central midfield, with McCowan on the right, Doku on the left and Clark up top, with a bench of Burns, Cooper, May, Crowley, Murphy, Murray and Ida. And so let's get into today's game and see what happens. So I've tried to positively reinforce them, having had the problem against Southampton in the last match. So I've told them that in no uncertain terms we are favourites for a reason here. So go and prove to them as to why, and then boosted each of the sections of our team by suggesting that they can all go and make a real difference. So let's see if this works out for us. Roberto with a free kick, but it's a good defensive header out, and Preston can come back at us quite comfortably and quickly down that right hand side into the box. It was a good save by the goalkeeper in the end. He ran unchallenged for most of the length of the pitch, which is a little bit concerning. Corner kick comes in from Preston to the far post, but Bazunu comes out and claims very, very comfortably and calmly in the end. Again, a similar position for Roberto on the free kick, and it's Story that gets the header on the ball, and we take a very surprising early lead. I wasn't expecting that one at all. The cross came in, and I expected another clearance really from Preston North End, like the first opportunity that we had, but the defence was nowhere to be seen, and Story found himself in quite a little bit of space there, really, considering he was quite crowded by players, but he got some space and headed the ball in the back of the net. And after a few minutes, Derby County take a really good 1-0 lead again, and demonstrating that we are an absolute force to be reckoned with. I'm not going to make any bold predictions about what this season will lead to. I've done that in my most recent series with Augsburg in the relegation rescue, and those that have been following that know how we started and now know how that ended. So I'm not going to be doing that here, but having said all of that, in the early season form, we are looking absolutely brilliant, and we've now got a penalty kick to hopefully make it 2-0 just before half-time. Clark steps up and buries it into the back of the net, and comfortably we've taken a 2-0 lead, having had a bit of an early scare in the very first stages of the first half where they broke on us. But since that point, it's been quite comfortable, and this is a bit of a theme as to what's been happening over the last few games whilst I've been going through the save so far this season, is that we've played very comfortably within ourselves at times. There was that 5-3 against, I think it was Blackburn, where we were really down and buried, and I had to change quite a bit and go really attacking to get back into it, but we managed it. But other than that, it's looking very, very good. Preston get a decent clearance, but we pick it up again in midfield and get another chance to come back at them. Joku dwells on the ball a little bit, but still gets it to one of our own players in Target on that left-hand side. He goes up to Clark. Was there an offside there? It wasn't. Back to Target again, and we're maintaining and then winning possession very, very nicely. Colin with the cross in, and that should have been 3, shouldn't it, really? Clark had a very, very good opportunity there, and right-footed put it narrowly wide of the post, but should have been on target. And had it been, the goalkeeper wouldn't have been able to do much about it at such point-blank range. But just in the dying sections of this first half, Preston are coming back at us one last time. Can we hold our shape and get a foot in and win the ball back? It goes to our defensive area, and we do get the ball back. And we put it back to the goalkeeper nice and calmly, and he resets play for us. We go slightly long out to that left-hand side. Doku gets the header on towards Clark, but it doesn't quite meet him. And Preston win the ball in their defensive area and come back at us again. So it's a little bit to and fro at the moment, but a good interception by Doku again, and Clark with a very early shot and narrowly goes past that post. And it was a good attempt so early, having received the ball, but it was just very, very slightly narrowly wide. And that leads us into half-time. And as I say, a couple of chances for Preston, absolutely, but we've had a very, very good first half. And it continues our very, very good form. So we'll passionately go in and say we're happy with it, keep things up and keep things going. There's no reason to change anybody at this particular moment in the game. We're all healthy, which is positive, so early in the season. And we get a chance early in the second half to have a chance at goal. And again, the header goes narrowly wide. And we're piling on the pressure. But we do need occasionally to find a little bit of quality in goal and put these games completely out of reach in a slightly earlier manner than we may be doing at times, because we're having all of these chances and we just need that slight quality in front of goal. So at 65 minutes, we're going to come back out of the game and look at the bench and see what we can bring on to help us see this one through. So we've got McCowan on the right-hand side who's put in a shift. So Murphy will come in and take him out of the picture. Sibley and Crowley, these two playing in the attacking midfield line. This is possibly the weak point in our side at the moment. Neither one have been playing particularly brilliantly, but it's still a role that I'm really keen to have in the side. I think it balances the side quite well. So we're going to switch them over again and Crowley can come back in. And then because he missed an effort in those last couple of minutes, even though he's got one goal already, we'll bring Clark off and we'll put Ida up front and see if he's got a little bit of quality in the last 20 minutes of the game, just to put a slightly tiring Preston defence to the sword a little bit. But it's Preston with a chance down the right-hand side to create an opportunity for themselves, and they play the ball nicely up to the top of the area, but a defensive, nice defensive block by Joku, and he somehow finds Ida onto Crowley, and Roberto puts it in the bottom corner of that net. And what a lovely sweeping move that was. Joku with a brilliantly defensive cover, and somehow that ball charges up to Ida with no major problems at all down that right-hand side. And he takes his time, puts it into Crowley, who then sees the run of Roberto, puts it in his path, and he pokes it nicely in that bottom corner. And we are absolutely running rampant. And it is just so good to see, considering where we were when we took over a season ago, just under a season ago, and they were in complete disarray at the bottom of the table. And what a difference a year can make, and what a difference a couple of transfer windows can make to this side. Some of it, as we've talked about, has been forced on us. A couple of players were sold from under us, which is a problem. But we've replaced them well, I think. And so far, so good. And we're going to get another really positive win early on in the Championship against Preston. They've got one last chance for one potential chance. And they didn't take it, did they? It went over the top of the bar. And that was their chance for one little bit of a glimpse of some good productivity from them, but they didn't quite take it. And we are potentially going to see this out. And what happened there? There was a foul, and Target was holding on to Egan's shirt. I thought maybe he was going to get booked then, but he didn't. But they've got one last chance there, and again we block very nicely. And they were offside anyway, and the final whistle goes. It got a bit confusing towards the end, exactly what was happening, but Preston were trying to pile the pressure on, and it didn't quite come off for them, did it? And in the end, a very, very comfortable 3-0 win. Passionately, we're going to go in and say, I'm very happy with that performance and how well you played. We're going to boost the confidence and the morale even more, which is just going to do us all the good in the world, really. And then we've got a really very tough game coming up next against Everton in the League Cup. Doku got a little bit of a knock, but he's only out for a couple of days, which is fine. He has been a little bit injury prone since we've picked him up this season so far. He hasn't had a chance to properly settle in yet. But yeah, that game against Everton coming up in the League Cup is going to be really tricky for both sides, I hope. I hope we'll give them a good run. And actually, what we're going to do is we're going to come back next episode and we're going to play that on the episode. I don't normally do one match after the other in terms of so connected to each other, but on this occasion, because it's a good Premier League opposition, we're going to come back next episode and see if we can give them a good game in the Cup. So I hope you'll join me for that. It's been a really positive start. I'm really impressed. We currently sit now top of the Championship after 6 matches on 15 points. And it's been an incredible turnaround. So let's see if we can keep it going and really create an upset in the Cup against Everton. So join me for that episode. Thanks for joining me for this one. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It will keep you up to date with the videos that I release, and it really boosts my morale to see the amount of people that are subbing to the channel. If you haven't, click a like on this particular episode. Again, that helps me get seen by lots of other people, helps me get higher up in the search engines of YouTube, the search function. So if you could do that, that would be great. But until next time, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very, very soon. Bye for now.